Hello Indie Game fan, we have an interesting week of new releases since publisher Freedom Games is doing something weird since they are simultaneously releasing 6 full games and 1 demo this week, including City of Beats, a long in development action roguelite that got picked up by them, being set on the rooftops of an ever-changing city skyline, where, as suggested by the title, has music and rhythm elements where everything from weapons, enemies, hazards and more are tied to the underlying beats of the music. As such, you need to listen to the music to anticipate attacks and to time your dodges, which, in conjunction with the roguelite structure, should provide both challenge and fun. We are slowly beginning to see the evolution of Vampire Survivors clones, where developers are not just taking that idea and changing the art, where I think KILLBUG to some extent is influenced by that due to the swarms of enemies, but adds in a dose of devil daggers for good measure, since this is a high score chasing first-person shooter. You must fight your way through the swarms of beetles, spiders and other insects, with weapons such as a blade and a submachine gun. This is mixed in with fluid movement mechanics like dashing and double jumps, reminding me of Boomerang X visually as well, so if you're a fan of first-person shooters, this is one to get. There are supposed to be accessibility options to help with motion sickness as well, so if this footage is a little disorienting, perhaps try it out first and then refund if you're still not getting along with it. Hey, if you made it this far, subscribe to my weekly newsletter to keep on top of all things indie games, link in the description below. Following in the footsteps of the success of The Wandering Village, we have another survival city builder set on the back of a giant animal in World Turtles. We are building your civilization on such a flying turtle that is making its way through space. The city building elements look interesting, even having a hexagonal grid underneath it all, where you need to unite the people on the turtle, directing them to work together for survival and prosperity, and perhaps even launch their own space program one day, where procedural generation means that every playthrough will be something different. This title looks like a natural evolution of things since Idol Showdown is a 2D fighting game that stars the VTubers of Hololive, following the success of games like Hollow Cure, which is a Vampire Survivors-like, where this game has things like rollback netcode, so hopefully it turns out to be decent and is a free game as well. I just talked about
Farm Simulation RPG
titles over the weekend, where conspicuously absent is The Witch of Fern Island, since it is releasing in early access this week, so I didn't want to repeat myself, where this witchy title looks kind of neat. You play as a witch in training, crash landing on this island on the way to the academy, making the most of the situation by starting her training right here and now. You're growing various plants to brew potions, raising fantastical beasts, and learning about magic and enchantments, all while getting to know the locals. There are secrets of the island to uncover, as well as elements like fishing and even flying around on a broom, where this game was successful on Kickstarter with a relatively modest goal and should be one to watch.
A power older than time has returned. Free from their imprisonment, ancient wizard kings come, seeking lost magics and new realms to conquer, turning all whom they encounter, by choice or by force. strife, champions arise. New unities are founded. And powerful arcane knowledge unlocked. As gods and mortals clash, the forces unleashed will shape a new age of wonders.
Bigger games begin with Age of Wonders 4, the latest entry in this 4X strategy series with turn-based tactical combat looking like it's for fans of the genre.
In the year 2351, we discovered Baltarus, an exoplanet located thousands of light years from Earth. Buried beneath the silica crystals, we found Balterium, an element so unique it has the potential to power our society for generations to come. When we first landed there, we thought we were alone. We could not be more wrong.
I did just talk about Silica recently as well, where this title comes to us from Bohemia Incubator, the experimental arm of the Arma and DayZ people, where it is an ambitious sci-fi PvP title that mixes real-time strategy and first-person combat. There are 3 rival factions, 2 human and 1 alien, where they tussle over control of the planet and its valuable resources, where you can play as the commander in RTS mode or boots on the ground in first person, having modes which support 12 or 32 players and looks awesome, reminding me of Command & Conquer Renegade as well. Smaller games begin with Bare Butt Boxing, a local multiplayer party game that looks like chaos and could be fun with friends. Path of Achra is a traditional turn-based, grid-based roguelike that, according to the developer, is a broken build sandbox, so feel free to experiment and get overpowered in this.
For another bloody installment of everyone's favorite reality survival show.
We're barely halfway through the season, and we've already seen some incredible action, particularly from the newcomer that everyone seems to be following.
Showgunners is a turn-based tactics title set within a deadly dystopian reality game show where it's a battle to the death, where I believe this is not a roguelite and could be neat.
With fancy moves. Here's Tybalt using holographic trickery to apparently swap places with an enemy.
He's constantly putting them on the defensive, which can be key to making it through the season alive.
Of course, you can't argue with sheer strength, demonstrated by the Warden.
Or you could take another tack and become almost invisible like Phantom does when things get too hot. There are plenty of ways to survive, but even more ways to die.
It's not all about combat, though, is it?
Honestly, I'd spend as much time with the fans as possible.
Which can lead to better rewards in the actual competition.
Exactly. And the other thing I'd always be keeping my eye out for is the show director to shake things up at the worst possible time.
What about all those puzzles and traps?
They're nothing to sneeze at, Joe, that's for sure. Brain power's almost as important as firepower down there.
Well, one thing's for sure, nothing's for sure on Showgunners!
On the surface, Swamp Grinder looks like a Vampire Survivors clone, with one distinction since you need to clear the cells to trigger the attack from enemies, being just different enough to warrant some extra attention. These Doomed Owls, the First God, is a free prologue demo of a survival card-based city builder, which I have my eye on, so definitely give this a go if you're curious as well. Similarly, Thief Simulator 2 Prologue is a demo of the sequel of a tremendously popular first-person simulator title, so check it out to see what's new. Let's kick off the top 5 with Nightcrawlers, an action-packed action roguelite with physics that, refreshingly, is not a Vampire Survivors clone, although this game does throw quite a large number of enemies at you. It's a little difficult to parse what is going on in the action in this trailer, but I suppose you will slowly work up to this stage, where you do have a variety of weapons to choose from, both physical and magical. There's plenty of customization and upgrade options during each run as well, looking like fun. A title that is quite the curiosity is Ethereal Echoes of Yore, an old-school hardcore MMORPG set in the world of Irumessa, where players will face treacherous politics, terrifying monsters, and the threat of civil war. Build up your character and work together with other players to overcome the dangers of the world, including 100+ quests, 8+ dungeons, and endgame challenges like raids and world bosses. Explore the world and discover secrets, create gear, and stake claims to property. Make decisions wisely, as they will have consequences in future expansions, where the developer promises a constantly evolving world with new content added regularly, where this sure does give me RuneScape vibes, so for free, why not give this a go? monster taming title that improved tremendously from its first showing is Monster Tribe. Also releasing this week, being set in the land of Achra, which is an island filled with collectible creatures, ruins and dangerous towers. Turn-based tactical combat will be the most interesting part, since you control a team of 4 monsters at once where positioning matters, rather than the 1v1 or 2v2 combat that you see in games like Pokemon. There's an open world to explore, resources to gather and secrets to uncover, telling a tale about mankind's last attempt at survival. On paper, Kaku Ancient Seal is perhaps the title to watch this week, since it's a gorgeous 3D action-adventure title set in a somewhat prehistoric inspired world filled with dangerous monsters and creatures, as well as a healthy dose of magic. You have the task of restoring balance to the world, adventuring across 4 elemental regions and conquering the bosses there. The action and combat looks pretty stylish, and you will be able to uncover your own style through various customization options presented. Also prominent is your pig companion, which will aid you along the way, with some puzzles sprinkled in as well. However, do note that it will be an early access release, although strangely enough, it is supposed to contain the full main storyline and over 30 hours of gameplay, but the developer still wants to add more exploration, puzzles and combat, so it's a very weird way to do early access, so we'll see how this is received.
Get those pucks in deep! What was that? You think this is dodgeball, bud?
This title gets extra points for being unique, which is always nice to see, especially in indie games, where despite not being a sports game person myself, let alone a hockey person, this roguelike hockey game looks super interesting, having team management with randomized perks as you lead your scrappy team to the championship, where tape to tape is only possible in the indie space and has previewed well so far, where a special mention goes to Patreon member and indie game ultra fan Sean H, where you can find my favourite roguelites in this video.
Am I hallucinating?